I don't think that Mr. DeSelle's best chance for success is gonna be to ever return to New Orleans personally.
No, I don't want to come back to New Orleans. It's not, that's not where I want to be. No, man. That's how I got in this trouble in the first place.
Well, that might be rock bottom when you have the Louisiana Parole Board say, you're not welcome here. You probably should not come back to Louisiana. But I think he agrees. Now, this is an interesting story. You see, he seemed to be doing everything right. As a matter of fact, he joined the Navy at the age of 18 and made it to the prestigious Submarine Corps. He spent 2 years in a submarine before being discharged, other than honorably, for having narcotics in his system. And since then, it's been a long spiral downwards. As you can see, not the greatest life choices with the face ink. And now he's out on parole and accused of stabbing a man. Now, this is quite interesting. I think just lucky for him that he has a public defender and a social worker here talking on his behalf. Anyways, he sits here for a while. In my opinion, I'm just making an opinion because, as Dr. Grande says, I'm only speculating on a situation like this. He's been in jail for, I think, 4 months, if I recall correctly. But it looks like he might be getting this stuff in there. He is either on it right now or coming down because he don't look good. But again, that's just speculation. I have no idea. So let's see what happens. With that, let's jump in.
We are at Orleans Justice Center. Please state your name and DOC number for the record. You're on mute.
Danny Ryan DeSelle, 546483.
Okay, Mr. Dressel, today we're here for your revocation hearing. Is there anybody in the room with you?
No, sir.
Okay, my name is Pete Freeman. I'll be the acting chair. Mr. Ledoux is to my left and Mr. Byron to my right. They will be the board members today. Do you have a questionnaire with you that was filled out? Your paperwork?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Did you sign and state and realize you're not eligible for appointed counsel?
I signed.
But you do have a public defender here.
Oh, yes, yes, sir. I got my public defender, yes.
Okay. Okay, it says you violated condition number 4 on 3/12/25. You were arrested by the New Orleans Police Department and charged with aggravated battery by cutting under item C-10922-25 on 5/5/25. The charge of aggravated battery of cutting was refused. How do you plead to that charge?
Not guilty.
Okay. All right. Condition number 5, it determined that you were in possession of a dangerous weapon as evidenced by your arrest by the New Orleans Police Department, where you were charged with aggravated battery by cutting under item number C-10922-25. On 5/5/25, the charge of aggravated battery by cutting was refused. How do you plead to that charge?
Not guilty.
Okay. Number 6, you have never provided proof of employment. How you plead to that charge?
Guilty.
Okay. You failed to provide a valid address of record. Contact could not be made with you and your residence could not be verified, thereby preventing contact from probation and parole. Your whereabouts were unknown. A warrant was issued for your arrest on 2/23/25 for absconding supervision. How do you plead to that charge?
Guilty with a statement?
Guilty with a statement? Yes.
Absolutely.
And the last charge is that you were $315 behind on your fees. How do you plead to that charge?
Guilty.
Okay, let's hear from the people that are here to speak on your behalf, and then we'll let Ms. Ledoux do the interview. Okay, Miss Erica Fuse. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, Miss Fuse.
It's okay.
Okay, what do you have to tell us about Mr. Dussel?
Good morning. My name is Erica Fuste, and I am a social work intern with the Orleans Public Defenders. I'm speaking today on behalf of my client, Danny Dussel. Since his arrest for his refused charge out of Orleans Parish, Mr. Dussel and I have been meeting on a bi-weekly basis. In each visit, Mr. Dussel has remained insightful, cooperative, and reflective. Since his release from DOC custody, Mr. Dussel has shown a demonstrated commitment to seeking welfare services, particularly housing services, to aid in his reentry and to address his chronic homelessness, substance use, and unaddressed post-traumatic symptoms. Mr. Dussel is seeking to affiliate himself with a structured, positive, and faith-based mentors and institutions to address his long-term goals, a life of sobriety, and stable housing. Mr. Dussel has already been accepted into Broken Wings Recovery Center in Bastrop, Louisiana, which is a Christian and Alcoholics Anonymous-based drug and alcohol residential treatment rehabilitation facility. Broken Wings provides peer support services, medication management, and intensive therapy for clients as they begin to rebuild healthy relationships and heal from the damage that is caused by addiction. If released back onto parole, Mr. Dussel would participate in individual and group counseling and be reintroduced to his faith and 12-step community. Upon successful completion of residential treatment, Mr. Dussel will work with his inpatient team to create an effective discharge plan that includes placement into stable, safe, and sober housing in Louisiana. With the help of his discharge team, he's going to have access to resources that will assist him as he utilizes his 12-step and faith-based support network. Moreover, his team at Broken Wings Recovery Center will ensure that he is connected to case managers to support him in his search for employment and maintenance of his social benefits. Through my work with Mr. Dussel, it's become clear that he is committed to long-term lifestyle changes, included his stated goals of sober living, housing security, and counseling. I offer this statement today in the hope that it can provide context for Mr. Dussel's current situation and be taken into consideration when deciding whether to release him back onto parole. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Fuse.
I got a question.
Okay, he has a question for you, Mr.
When you said you've been meeting with him bi-weekly since his arrest, all the way a year and a half ago?
Since
How long have you been bi-weekly meeting with him personally?
this most recent arrest for the charge that was refused, for which he was arrested, I believe, in March. I've been going to the jail, Orleans Justice Center, about once a week, every 2 weeks, to visit him and work through what his plans are post-release.
No other question? Okay, thanks again. Next, we're going to hear from Rebecca Goldstein, Orleans Public Defender.
Good morning. Thank you for your time today. My name is Rebecca Goldstein, and I represented Danny Dussel on his now refused charge out of Orleans Parish. Mr. Dussel is a 38-year-old United States Navy veteran. In 2005, at 18 years old, he joined the Navy after being inspired by his grandfather's own service. While serving, Mr. Dussel spent most of his time on a crowded submarine for months at a time. And once he was discharged and completed service in 2007, he was formally diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. Mr. Dussel returned to Louisiana to live with his grandmother. However, unfortunately, without the necessary community support at the time to manage PTSD, he soon turned to drugs to help him. Mr. Dussel's battle with addiction led to chronic homelessness and incarceration. Despite these challenges that Mr. Dussel has faced, he is committed to his recovery, as the board has just heard. He's eager for the chance to engage with meaningful support through the reentry plan that we've created so that he can maintain sobriety obtain stable housing and employment, and be a contributing member to society. Mr. DeSalle is before the board today because he is accused of violating conditions of parole, specifically for engaging in criminal activity, absconding supervision, and failing to pay parole fees. First, I'd like to address the new criminal activity allegations and possession of dangerous weapons. As the board knows, Mr. DeSalle was arrested on March 12th this year on 1 count of aggravated battery, and on May 5th, that charge was refused. Mr. DeSalle has no other commitment. That charge was refused because Mr. DeSalle did not commit an aggravated battery. On March 12th, a homeless man named James Gum was stabbed. Mr. Gum had told law enforcement that he was stabbed by a man that he knew by the name of Jericho. Mr. DeSalle was arrested in that area later that day, when officers mistakenly thought he could be Jericho. He is not. Mr. Gum had never identified Mr. DeSalle as the man that stabbed him, and the stabbed victim, Mr. Gum, has signed an affidavit attached to the packet that was sent to the parole board stating that Danny DeSalle was not the man who stabbed him on March 12th, nor was he the man accompanying that offender. And that's Exhibit 1 in the packet. Mr. Gum further stated that he does not know Danny DeSalle to go by the nickname Jericho, and that Danny DeSalle saw him bleeding after he was stabbed and went to find him. Attached to the packet as Exhibit 7 is also a police report with an arrest warrant for a man named Jericho Miller, who was later arrested, and this arrest warrant is for an incident that happened at the jail, where Jericho Miller is accused of stabbing James Gum in the Oregon Justice Center when they were further indicating that Danny DeSalle is not Jericho and is not the man that was stabbing James Gum on March 12th or at which is why this charge was regarding the violations that Mr. DeSalle absconded supervision and failed to make payments. As you've heard, Mr. DeSalle acknowledges his misdeeds. He takes full accountability for not properly checking in with his parole officer. While he was homeless for the entire 4 months between November and February of 2024, despite seeking out various shelters, Mr. DeSalle's lack of permanent housing made maintaining a reliable routine and consistent check-in difficult. However, he acknowledges that despite how difficult his situation was, he needed to be more communicative with his parole officer, and that he needs to explain where and how he's seeking services so that his parole officer can understand. While Mr. DeSalle's lack of housing and criminal records have made it challenging for him to find employment, he knows that he needed to be attempting to make payments regardless and keeping his parole officer up to date on those attempts. If released back onto parole, Mr. DeSalle will receive employment assistance, as the board has heard, as well as training through Broken Wings, as well as assistance from our office, ensuring his ability to make all future payments on his parole. Finally, since his arrest on the now refused charge, Mr. DeSalle has been working with social work intern Erica Tuesday, as the board has heard. Together, they've created a tailored re-entry plan that's outlined in the packet, and that's been addressed today, should Mr. DeSalle be released back on parole. Most notably, this includes drug treatment and long-term housing and employment support. With the proper support system for the first time in his life, Mr. DeSalle is hopeful to begin a new chapter. He has learned from his mistakes and is dedicated to his recovery, and wants nothing more than to have a meaningful chance to be a productive member of his community. We respectfully ask that the board use its discretion today to show Mr. DeSalle mercy. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it, Ms. Posting. Okay, as I said, your case has been assigned to Ms. Ledoux, so she'll go over and ask you questions about your violation.
Yes, sir.
Mr. DeSalle, you spent 2 years in the Navy. How were you discharged? Honorably or?
Other than honorable for drug, I had to fail the drug screening. A drug screening, yes, ma'am. Other than honorable.
Other than honorable.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, in fact, you have struggled with substance abuse since 2007, it sounds like.
Yes, when I joined the Navy. I joined the Navy right out of high school. So I was 18, I was pretty young, yes, ma'am. since '07.
So have you ever, I mean, you're a fourth offender. Have you ever had substance abuse treatment while you were incarcerated?
Yes, ma'am. I
And
have.
where did you go? What class or where did you go for that?
Oh, they sent me to Stephen Hall. I did 6 months there. And, I've been struggling lately here, not so much with the drug abuse, with just being homeless. As far as getting out, I just did 3.5 years. And that's why I was moving from homeless shelter to homeless shelter. And people kept stealing my cell phone and stuff like that. I just been trying to find a permanent job to where I could find some place to live. That's been my main struggle since I've gotten out of prison for that 4 years I did, the incarceration I just did. I've only been out for 4 months and I've been trying, it haven't been so much the drugs as it has been the homelessness. It's
Okay.
trying to find a place to live.
So in your understanding, tell me about Broken Wings. What is this program about? And
It's a program that'll help me for one time in my life, put me in the right direction. It's kind of like I lost direction. I mean, I've changed my life. I don't want to live a criminal life anymore. I don't. I don't want to spend the rest of my life in prison. I want to have help being a successful person in society. I just want to get a little job and have my own place to live by myself. And for the first time in my life, that's what I want. To
okay,
get-
how long is Broken Wings? How long do you anticipate being there?
Well, I think it's a 3-month program or so, and then it's gonna find me permanent housing and find me a place to live.
What if 3 months is not enough?
I believe it'll put me in the right direction. I had just did 4 years. I just need, I need help finding a job. I need help finding a job where I can go to work. And so I can go, so I can find my own place to live. I don't have, plus I've been going to class here while I've been in jail, and they put me on a medicine to keep me from doing drugs in this jail, in this program.
Since you've been in this time, you've been taking some classes?
Ma'am, I've been going to a MAT program where they also put me on medication. I've been in here for over 3 months already. So I've had 3 months here and I've had 3 months and I've been going to the MAT program.
Okay, perhaps I need to address this issue with Ms. Fusay. Ms. Fusay, I'm not sure the 3-month program is going to meet his need. Tell me a little bit about this aftercare because
Yes. So Broken Wings, first and foremost, is an inpatient substance use treatment facility, right? So should Mr. DeSalle be released, Broken Wings coordinates his transportation from the Orleans Justice Center. They pick him up and directly bring him to Broken Wings. There, he begins a formal process of getting off the medication where he needs the medication that he's currently on that he needs to remain sober. He's going to work through therapists, and also with medical professionals to fully get him off the need for any treatment to address his substance use. Upon successful completion of the inpatient program, Broken Wings, the caseworkers there, it doesn't end at 3 months, right? If he is committed to his sobriety, they work with him to find him employment training, sober living, housing options, whether that's on their facility, it's in Bastrop, Louisiana, or if he wishes to return to his hometown, or if he wishes to return to New Orleans, they have caseworkers that they bring him back and they still set him up with employment training. They still set him up with housing support and sober living housing. So really the program, he's there for 28 days, but the case management does not stop.
so I don't think that Mr. DeSalle's best chance for success is going to be to ever return to New Orleans personally.
No, I don't want to come back to New Orleans. That's not where I want to be. No, man. That's how I got in this trouble in the first place.
Yeah, he doesn't need to, sorry, Mr. DeSalle.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to return to New Orleans. It's really just that they have the resources all around Louisiana. But most clients, they do end up staying on or near the facility so that they have direct access to their caseworkers, their therapists, their whole community, right? And they provide sober living options, and they provide employment training.
I defer to my colleagues at this time.
Okay, I have a few questions, Barbara, if you don't mind, I'll go before you. Okay, first off, Mr. Dressel, what's very, very, very concerning is you've had the best programs that we have to offer. They haven't worked. I mean, you went to Steve Hall, you went through the impact,
Yes, sir.
that you went back to drugs.
Well, no, this time,
But tell me this time, it's gonna make me feel like you're not gonna go back to drugs again.
I'm not trying to, sir, I'm not trying to go back to drugs. I've given up drugs. I'm trying to find a job that I can work successfully and keep that job and get my own place that I want to live in, that I don't have to, I can be by myself and get out of the city. I haven't been struggling with drugs as I've been struggling with homelessness and not being able to find a job. That's what I've been struggling with.
Yeah, that, but drugs is your main problem. You're not gonna ever find a job unless you get rid of the drugs.
I got rid of the drugs. I just did 4 years. I've only been out for 4 months. I haven't been doing the drugs. I've been trying to find a job. I don't have any money or support. That's why I had no concern on doing drugs. I'm done with the drugs, sir.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Barrow?
Y'all covered. You got it.
Covered. Okay, is the panel ready to vote?
I am. Mr. DeSalle, first of all, I appreciate your brief stint in the military and do recognize that you are a veteran. I do believe that homelessness is your biggest issue. Based on the information that I've received, I believe that you were not involved in the altercation, Mr. Gunn. You're a fourth felony offender, and Mr. Freeman is correct. You've been through programs, so I don't think going to another program incarcerated is going to help. My vote is going to be in lieu of revocation to send you. Well, I can't do that because it has to be. So my vote is to do not revoke, but you must go to Broken Wings as a special condition. You go there for the duration of that program, and then you follow any outpatient treatment plan that they request. And while I cannot mandate it, I strongly suggest that you not return to Orleans Parish, and that Broken Wings establishes a strong connection with your probation officer. And my vote is to do not revoke.
Mr. Barrow?
I'm gonna concur on that and vote to reinstate your parole. But added a special condition to what she said about Broken Wings, random drug screens and AA and NA meetings once a week.
Yes, sir.
And understand that you've done had all the chances you're gonna get as a fourth offender.
Yeah.
You come back, you're doing time.
I know, and I
No matter
know.
who you bring with you to say they're gonna help
Yeah,
you.
I was gonna say, don't worry about next time, ladies, because it won't happen next.
So make sure you get the message.
Yes,
The last chance. You asked for one, they did a good job setting you up. If you don't take advantage of it, you got nobody to blame but you.
I know.
All right.
Okay, and, well, I'm gonna tell you, against my better judgment, I'm gonna vote the same. I'm gonna vote the same. This is your last shot, man. And the homelessness, I understand it, but the drugs is the problem.
I'm done with the drug.
Okay, all right, so today the vote is do not revoke, for you to go to Broken Wings. You to leave from the jail to go to Broken Wing, you to complete the 28-day program and follow any recommended treatment. Make sure that you get in touch with your probation officer once you get to Broken Wings, okay?
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank y'all. God bless.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you so much. I'll call them.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
And I don't have any information to unpack to bring any value here. So for those of you who are only looking for the facts, I'm sorry. I asked, of course, Lady Holly did her research. I even wrote Sir Richard. I also wanted to get Sir Richard's opinion on this case because Sir Richard, for those of you who don't know, was a submariner. He was in the subs. He was in nuclear submarines, and he was I forget the official title, but it's a nuclear engineer. He worked on the nuclear engine thingy mabobble, which if you want to look it up, that is one of the more prestigious roles that you can get in the Navy. You got to have a big brain for it. And what's really weird is that Sir Richard's, I think, 6'7", which makes no sense. I asked him, where did he said he slept on the floor. They had no cots for him. And can you imagine that? He always had to be ducking like this. And he was seriously injured in a nuclear really disaster in the submarine. I don't know. There was I don't really have the details. I should really dive into it more, but there was an issue, and he suffers till this day. His illness that we always talk about, where he's losing his eyesight and he has problems with surgeries and all these things till to this day, was from the fallout of that, from the radiation. And for those of you who don't know, Lady Holly was wounded in combat in Afghanistan. She's a squadron leader out of Australia, which is like the similar rank to major. And she took indirect fire, hit her arm. She kept going for a year, by the way, until infection took place. And now she doesn't have use of her right arm. And so these are the two people who are doing the research and support and advice and advisement. And I asked Sir Richard about this case. I'm bringing this up because of the PTSD thing, and I want to say I have not joined. I am not military. I don't. I am, and I get this can be a loaded statement, but when I work every day with people like Sir Richard and Lady Holly with one arm, who's doing all this research and data entry with one hand using a phone, Sir Richard, who is legally blind and gets around in a wheelchair. It feels like the PTSD thing is just I think that we're going to go in a turn. It's gotten to the point where you hear it for everything. And it's like you'll hear it for someone who nearly lost her arm in Afghanistan. Actually, you won't hear it from her. I've never heard her use those words. I've never heard Sir Richard use those words. But there are those who like, okay, yeah, that's like when I grew up hearing the word PTSD, it was okay, you went into Iraq and you got PTSD from combat, and now you hear it for everything. You really hear it for everything. It was someone who is 600 pounds, never hasn't left their living room in 38 years, and they'll say they're diagnosed with PTSD because of something that happened to them when they were 16 years old or whatever. And it's I don't know. I had to get this stuff off my chest because I feel like we've gone to this extreme, and I think we're going to come back, and it's going to be unacceptable to just say it. Now, he was in the submarine corps for 2 years. Sir Richard's like, hey, it's hard to get in the submarine corps. They do deep mental evaluation tests. To get in is not a simple thing. But it feels like in this sense also it was just a word thrown out way too loosely. It's like you had a negative drug screen. You got other than dishonorably discharged, which is I guess the second, you weren't honorably discharged, you weren't dishonorably, it's other than honorable. And then you go and say, oh, I have PTSD from it, from being in a crowded submarine. Not saying I could last 1 second in a crowded submarine. I'm not saying that I couldn't, but it's just, I don't know. I'm happy to stand corrected here. I'm happy to get a smackdown for saying it, but it's something I feel like I just had to say, and I think that a lot of us are feeling too. And I actually wrote Sir Richard an email, and he just wrote me back because I wanted to get his insight on it. I said his attorney claimed he served from 2005 at age 18. While serving, he spent his time on a crowded sub. He was discharged in 2007. And can I get your feedback? Like, what's the deal with that? He just wrote back a minute ago, so I'll include it in the unpacking. I was waiting for the. So he says, laughing my ass off. The only situation which would fit this scenario would be that the following 2 months of boot camp, if you have no technical skills, you'd be assigned to some random ship where they can figure out if you have any talent and await some school. Generally, the waiting for a list for a sub school is at least 6 months, and nukes and torpedo men are prioritized with generic swabbies at the bottom of that list. A patrol on a missile sub is a minimum of 3 months, and fast attacks are 9 months plus plus plus. Unless they happen to be in the yard undergoing an overhaul, which could take up a couple of years depending upon the complexities of the conversation or refueling, during which commands do require crew to berth aboard, especially if CO is a bit of an asshole. Fast attacks are not as large as missile, and defense could feel crowded. But to be honest, I would have thought more apart term would have been confining or claustrophobic. Question. Now, 2005 was pre-Obama, so Sir Richard gets into politics. And following 9/11, there was a big push to get submariners, but that only applied to be specialized technical rates and not swab jockeys. So he still would have had to score high on psych tests. And like I said, I've never met anyone on subs who is so weak-minded as to not to be able to compartmentalize and thus affected by PTSD. The pre-screening is rather extensive. I don't know if Sir Richard is saying that those who have PTSD are weak-minded. I don't want to take that out of context. The pre-screening is rather extensive, which I'm sure your grandpa could attest to. Being a newbie, I'm sure he got hazed like hell, and just as we all did. And if he was naive and fell for it, I'm sure it got more and more intense. So other than the bullying, I can't think of anything that he would have been subjected to which would qualify as PTSD unless he had a weakness and let people know about it. That's an interesting insight. So, I mean, he's viewing it a little bit differently. Sir Richard's more like saying, like, what would have caused the PTSD? I think what he's saying is, like, the submarines, it's not going to be that crowded that it would cause PTSD. And anyways, they do the evaluations. And what else would have caused it? Maybe it was a lot of hazing. Interesting. I didn't even think about the hazing. That didn't even cross my mind. So, anyways, I know we got off tangent, and I always get nervous even talk off tangent like this, but okay. Do you think we're going to see him again? I have a feeling that we will. I just don't buy it. I know he's got the support there. I was impressed that his attorney was meeting for 3 months every 2 weeks. So often we'll hear them say, "Oh, I've been meeting with him," and I'm happy that Miss Lidu asked. And but I don't. And I wonder if when she said, I think she was about to recommend him to Steve Hoyle, and then she says, "Oh no, we can't," because I think they stopped legally being allowed to do that, which makes a lot of sense. But I don't know. He looked pretty messed up during that hearing, which would make, in jail you can get stuff, right? But just speculation. Anyways, I don't know what else to say. If he's it was interesting. I guess we could talk about the crime, right? He was accused of actually stabbing someone, and they it seemed to have been completely made up, like unfounded. Like it wasn't like they didn't just not press charges because they knew that he would, like, I think it seemed like it was actually 100% made up, which is kind of fascinating in that sense. And had he not had an attorney, who knows? But no, without an attorney, he's done. He's revoked like that. So he's lucky he got a public defender. I don't know if that's because he was in the Navy that he did either. I mean, because like I said, he doesn't qualify under normal Louisiana terms. But I hope he does well. I hope he does well. And with that, I'll let you